The Titans, though often a title ascribed to many different primordial gods, was more technically the name given to the 6 sons of Uranos and Gaia. The primordial gods that came before emerged from chaos, and often this occurred as relations of opposites, so that earth gave birth to heaven, darkness gave birth to light, and night gave birth to day. These opposites are then held together by the force of Eros, the force of connection that bound everything together that had emerged from the chaos, so that the fundamental structure of the world is as a relation of opposites, and primary among those opposites were earth and heaven, Gaia and Uranos. And it is through them that the Titan gods emerge. All of the Titans have to do with the establishment of physical space and the boundaries of that space. The name itself means the straining ones, perhaps referring to those forces which strained against their confines and expanded the world. Now, Koios, meaning query, is also called Polos, and he is the pillar or axis of heaven, located near the position of the North Star, and he represents the physical direction of north. His wife was Phoebe, representing the axis of the earth. They are the sources of oracles, and it is for this reason they are the grandparents of Apollo. And it also explains why Apollo was connected to the center of the earth, but also journeyed into the north. The 3 other brothers, Hyperion, Krios, and Iaptos, correspond to west, east, and south. Thus they are the expansion points of the cosmos, the physical space that expands out. When Chronos was to sever Uranos, he posted his 4 brothers in all cardinal directions to hold him. Okeanos is the border of the cosmos, identified as the great river which ran around the edge of the world. He is the limiter of the spatial expansion, the absolute boundary. And although technically one of the sons of the Titans, Atlas is said to hold up the sky, thus he represents the spatial expansion upwards. Of these, Chronos was the foremost. There has been some dispute over his name, with some claiming that Chronos, time, and Chronos are meant to be separate entities, but based on what we have looked at in association with the other Titans, this is not likely to be the case. When we look at the role of all other brothers, we see them all related to space and the limiting of space. And so Chronos is in fact space as understood as time. The children of Uranos and Gaia had been locked within the earth. During those days, Uranos lay atop Gaia, and there was no space in which for her children to be born. Now, to understand this is to understand that Uranos is not the sky, as in the air, but the physical boundary or roof of the sky, which was thought to be like a giant dome or cave. Uranos was seen as the rocky roof of this cave, and thus also associated with the night sky. And this is what is meant in ancient tradition when there is a fear that the sky might fall. With the unity of heaven and earth, there is nothing in between. There is no space. Then Gaia gave Chronos the sickle of stone, and with it, and the help of his brothers, Chronos severed the connection between the earth and the heaven, thus creating space, and with it, time. Time is the flowing of all things. Time is movement, which can only happen within space. And thus Chronos' wife is Re, the flowing one. Chronos' connection with time is also expressed in his devouring myth. All that was created by Chronos was devoured by him, as time devours all things. He locked away the primordial storm gods, the Cyclopes who wield the thunder and lightning, and the 100-handers who were the wielders of winds and clouds, and he sealed them beneath the earth in dark Tartarus. The reason for this may lie with the idea that within the space created by the Titans, there was no air or spirit by which the clouds or rains moved. Thus, while there may have been space, there was no sky. That is, there was no airy atmosphere that drives the clouds. The defining characteristic about the Titans, and with most of the primordial gods, is that they are either physical things or processes that are unalterable parts of the world. Time will not stop. The directions of space are not going to alter through prayer. These are principles of the natural world, not active, conscious forces. Chronos was told of a prophecy which would see his own offspring overthrow him, and so he became paranoid and consumed all his children. Yet there was one who escaped his consuming effects. Great Lord Zeus, father of gods and men, the great gatherer of the clouds. Yet what would the true nature of the children of time and flow, Chronos and Re, be? This is a subject we will take up in our next video. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and consider supporting us through Patreon or PayPal. Until next time, stand tall.